Well, the government shutdown is now on track to be the longest in history if lawmakers don't pass a funding bill by this Wednesday. Republicans and Democrats are still locked in that standoff. On healthcare subsidy, Democrats want to extend tax credits for health insurance. Republicans say that should be dealt with at a later date. I spoke to Republican Congressman Austin Scott of Georgia for more. Congressman, we've seen the government say that it will use contingency funds to pay partial food assistance benefits. What's your reaction to that today?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that these things are having to be done. We, as you know, several weeks ago as Republicans, 99% of Republicans in the House and the Senate have voted for a straight-up continuing resolution. 99% of the Democrats have opposed that. And, you know, I'm glad people are going to get SNAP benefits. I am, just of the opinion that this is a very dangerous game that's being played. And while they will get SNAP benefits a couple of weeks' worth, they're not going to get a full month's worth. And this will deplete the reserve fund. So, again, a very dangerous game that Senate Democrats are playing and following Chuck Schumer and his demands that they vote against, funding the government.
So you'll know that, of course, Senate Democrats and House Democrats say that it is Republicans who are putting SNAP benefits at risk by not agreeing to negotiate on extending health care subsidies. Is this something you're hearing about from your constituents?
Well, it's an absolute lie that is being told by Democrat Party activists. As you know, Sumi, the continuing resolution that Republicans passed, there are no games in it. It was a straight-up funding mechanism with no cuts in spending, the same funding levels that they had agreed to in the past. And so if Republicans had played the types of games that Democrats are playing right now and actually caused the damage to the American citizens that the Democrats are causing right now, you can bet that every news outlet out there would be tarring and feathering Republicans up and down. And so the fact that the Democrats have not been held to account by the news outlets is one of the reasons this whole thing is continuing to extend as long as it has.
Yeah, we've certainly talked to your colleagues across the aisle about Democrats' role in this shutdown. But I just want to come back to those healthcare subsidies quickly. Why not look at actually writing this into any sort of legislation on spending to extend these healthcare benefits?
This is a continuing resolution. We do not do authorizing language in appropriation measures. It's longstanding policy in the House of Representatives and in the Senate and in Congress as a whole.
Yeah.
And so they are demanding authorizing language. As you know, these subsidies that were written by the Democrats, these subsidies were always expected to expire at the end of 2025. Now, when the Democrats controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency, that's the way they wrote these subsidies. And these are the enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies that were geared towards the COVID-era spending. COVID is over with. And, if we're going to negotiate on subsidies, it's going to be done as a separate piece of legislation, not as part of a continuing resolution.
Okay. You'll likely have seen some of the polling that shows that Americans are not happy with either party right now on this government shutdown.
They shouldn't be.
Yeah. If you look at some of the polling, there was a more extensive poll conducted by the Washington Post, ABC News, and Ipsos. And it showed about 6 in 10 Americans blame President Trump for the current rate of inflation. If we're talking about affordability, of course. And when it comes to the shutdown, 45% say the Republicans are mainly responsible. Is this something you're hearing at all from constituents?
No, I think that the reason anybody would think that Republicans are responsible for it is because of the bias of the media towards Chuck Schumer and the Democratic Party. So it is a straight-up continuing resolution. There is nothing in the continuing resolution that anybody has said should be taken out of the continuing resolution. I would encourage you to keep that in mind. There is nothing in the continuing resolution that people are saying should be taken out of it. It was a straight-up continuing resolution so that further negotiations could occur on a longer-term budget. You expect negotiations to happen in a long-term budget, but what the Democrats did here is they took a hostage and they said, give us $1.5 trillion. And send me $1.5 trillion. 80% of that $1.5 trillion doesn't have anything to do with the health insurance subsidies. And so, again, that's another one of the little lies the Democrats have gotten away with is that 80% of what they're demanding to simply, get the government functioning again and fund the government doesn't have anything to do with the health insurance subsidies.
Yeah, I will say, of course, in that same poll, the number of people frustrated with Democrats is also going up, to your point there. But As you're on the Intelligence Committee, Congressman, I wanted to ask you a quick question as well about the strikes that we've seen from the U.S. on boats in the Pacific and the Caribbean. President Trump spoke to our partners at CBS News about Venezuela in particular. And when asked if the U.S. is going to war with Venezuela, he said, "I doubt it. I don't think so." But he refused to rule out strikes on land. From the intelligence you've seen, do you support strikes on land in Venezuela?
Let me speak without speaking about my role on the Intelligence Committee. What I will tell you is President Trump, and I agree with him on this, it says we are going to stop the flow of poison into this country, whether it be fentanyl or cocaine or any other drug that's killing American citizens. He wants to stop the flow of those poisons into the United States of America. I support him on those strikes on the pangas and stopping the flow of that poison into the United States of America. I have thought we should have done it a long time ago. And while the left likes to talk about, well, there were a few people killed in this strike. Well, there were. But how many hundreds of people would die from the tons of cocaine and fentanyl coming to the shores of not just the United States, but Mexico and other countries if we hadn't taken the panga out? So I support the strikes. I support stopping the flow of fentanyl and cocaine and other illegal drugs into the United States of America. And I think he's doing the right thing by taking aggressive action and stopping the flow.